It was a Tuesday night, the kind of night when the town felt dead, and the only souls out on the streets were people like me, restless, looking for an excuse to stay awake. I worked a dead-end job at a warehouse, and the only thing that broke. The monotony was stopping by the Lantern Tap Room, a dive bar on the outskirts of town. It was the kind of place with cracked neon lights and a permanent smell of spilled beer and old wood. That night, the bar was almost empty. Just me, the bartender Vince, and a stranger sitting at the far end of the counter. The stranger was older, maybe in his late 50s, with messy gray hair and a denim jacket that looked like it hadn't been washed in years. He sat perfectly still, hunched over a drink he didn't touch. I didn't think much of him at first. Bars attract all kinds of loners that I took my usual stool 2 seats away from him, ordered a whiskey, and scrolled through my phone. Vince wiped the counter in silence, glancing every so often toward the stranger. Something about the way Vince avoided looking at him directly made me uneasy. After a few minutes, I heard it. A whisper, barely audible. "Don't stay too long." I looked up. The stranger hadn't moved. His drink still sat untouched. "What?" I asked about. Vince looked confused. "You say something?" I shook my head. Maybe I was imagining things. "Long?" "Shifts do that to you. An hour passed." The door opened twice. First, a couple who left after one beer, then a delivery guy dropping off supplies. By midnight, it was just the three of us again. Vince turned up the TV above the bar to drown out the silence, but the hum of static between channels made the air heavier somehow. That's when the stranger finally spoke. His voice was rough, like gravel. "You seen it yet?" I glanced at him. "Seen what?" He smiled, but it wasn't friendly. "You'll know." Then he laughed quietly to himself, muttering something I couldn't catch. I should have left. Every instinct told me to finish my drink and get out, but curiosity pinned me to the stool dot around 12:30. Vince excused himself to the back room to check on inventory, leaving me alone with the stranger. The second Vince's footsteps faded, the man turned toward me fully for the first time. His eyes were pale, so pale they looked almost white. "It comes at closing," he said. "Always has." "What does?" I asked. He grinned wider, revealing teeth too straight to belong in that mouth. "The thing in the mirror." I laughed nervously. "Okay, you had too much." "He didn't?" "Blink? Check the bathroom mirror at 1 a.m. You'll see it too." By the time Vince came back, the stranger had gone silent again. Not left, just silent. 1 a.m. crept closer. My curiosity got the better of me. I excused myself to the bathroom. The bathroom at the Lantern Tap Room was infamous. Flickering light, graffiti-covered walls, a cracked mirror above the sink. The kind of place you wash your hands fast and don't look too hard at anything. But that night, I looked out at first. It was just me. Then, as the second hand on my watch ticked to 1 o'clock, something shifted. My reflection smiled, but I wasn't. Smiling, I froze. My reflection tilted its head, slow and deliberate, like it was studying me. Its eyes darkened until they were nothing but black pits. My heart hammered. Then its mouth opened unnaturally wide. Like its jaw was unhinging, I stumbled backward, slammed into the stall door, and bolted out of the bathroom when I came back to. The bar shaking, Vince looked at me like I'd seen a ghost. "You okay?" He asked. "The mirror," I stammered. "There's something wrong with the mirror." Vince sighed. "He told you, didn't he?" I froze. "What do you mean?" Vince glanced toward the far end of the bar. "The stranger's stool was empty. He's been dead for 10 years, Vince said quietly. "Every now and then, people see him. Always the same denim jacket, pale eyes. Always warning about the mirror." My skin crawled. "You're joking." Vince shook his head. "I found his body myself. Hung himself in that bathroom." I left in a daze, swearing I'd never come back. But I did once, weeks later. The Lantern Tap Room had been shut down. A note on the door said, "Closed until further notice." Through the dusty window, I could see it. The mirror from the bathroom propped against the wall behind the bar dot, and for just a second, I swear I saw my reflection in it, smiling. I wasn't supposed to be working that night, but the usual bartender called in sick last minute, and I was the only one who could cover the shift at the Rusty Anchor, a salty little bar on the docks. The kind of place where fishermen, drifters, and broken souls gather to drown their regrets in cheap whiskey and stale beer. The smell of salt water, mixed with spilled booze, hit me as soon as I stepped inside. The place was dim with exposed wooden beams and a low ceiling that trapped every sound inside like a secret. That night, the bar was crowded, louder than usual, full of people trying to forget. But one man sat alone at the far end of the counter, a baseball cap pulled low over his eyes, nursing a beer. He looked out of place, like he didn't belong but didn't care either. He didn't say much, but something about him set my nerves on edge. Every time I glanced over, he was staring at the door, waiting for someone, or something. Around midnight, the bar started to thin. People stumbled out into the cold night, leaving behind empty glasses and half-finished cigarettes. The man didn't move. Then a woman came in, soaked from the rain, shivering, looking desperate. She sat beside him. They whispered for a while. I couldn't hear what they said, but the man's expression changed, darkened. She left after 10 minutes, tears mixing with raindrops on her face. Later, I found out the woman was the bartender from the Salty Dog, another bar down the coast. Rumor had it she disappeared a week ago after a night shift. Nobody had seen her since. I mentioned it to one of the regulars. He froze, then whispered, the man at the bar. He's the reason she's gone. I laughed it off, but something told me to pay closer attention. After closing time, the man stood up and approached me. His eyes were hollow and his voice was low. You shouldn't be here after dark. I wanted to tell him to leave, but his gaze pinned me in place. Why are you here? I asked. He smiled faintly. I'm waiting for her. Confused, I asked. Who? Her? He said, looking toward the door. The one who never came back. The bar was empty now except for us. The rain hammered against the windows like drums. He pulled out a crumpled photo, a woman with tired eyes, soaked hair, a desperate smile. I lost her, he said. She disappeared here. I've been looking for her in every shadow, every reflection. A chill ran down my spine that night. After locking up, I saw something outside the window, a figure standing in the rain, staring in. It was her. The woman from the photo, but her eyes were black, and her mouth twisted in a silent scream. I blinked. If she was gone, I never worked at the Rusty Anchor again. But sometimes late at night, I swear I see a silhouette waiting just beyond the rain, watching, waiting for last call. The city was crawling with noise and neon when I stumbled into the Broken Hour, a grim little bar in a forgotten part of town. I was nursing a fresh wound, a breakup that left me raw and looking for anything to distract me from the silence. In my apartment, the bar was almost empty except for a handful of regulars and one man sitting quietly in the corner booth. He was tall, dressed in a black trench coat despite the heat, and never looked away from his glass. I caught his eyes once. Deep, cold, and empty, and quickly looked away. I took a seat at the bar and ordered something strong. The bartender, a woman named Rosie, kept shooting worried glances toward the stranger in the corner. You see him? She asked quietly. Who? I said, already feeling the unease settle like ice. That one. She nodded toward the man. He's been coming here every night for weeks. Doesn't speak. Doesn't leave. Just watches. That night, as the clock edged closer to closing time, the bar grew quieter. The regulars finished their drinks and slipped out. I found myself stealing glances at the silent man. When he finally stood, his movement was smooth but deliberate. He didn't say a word as he walked toward the door, but something about the way he moved made my skin crawl. As he reached the door, he stopped and turned back to me. His eyes locked with mine, and for a moment, it felt like he was looking right through me. Then he whispered, barely audible, You shouldn't be here. After dark. Before I could respond, he stepped outside and vanished into the night. Curiosity kept me there longer than I wanted. I helped Rosie clean up. but my mind kept replaying his words. What do you mean? Then I noticed the bar's security cameras were all smashed, screens black and silent. Rosie admitted they'd been broken for weeks, and no one knew who did. It got the next morning. I heard the news. A man matching the description of the stranger had been found dead in an alley nearby, face pale and eyes wide open, staring into nothingness. No ID, no known connections. It was the same night he vanished from the bar. I haven't gone back to the Broken Hour since. But sometimes when I walk past late at night, I swear I see a figure standing just inside the window, watching, waiting. Sometimes I still hear that whisper in my ear. You shouldn't be here after dark? I was closing up the bar, the Hollow Lantern, a place everyone said was cursed, but no one dared to leave empty at night. It sat on a forgotten street corner, a relic of better days, with cracked brick walls and a faint scent of old smoke. That never left. That night, the only customer was a man I didn't recognize. He had a quiet presence, the kind that made the room feel colder. He ordered one drink, a simple bourbon, neat, and sat staring into it like it held the answers to some secret. The clock ticked closer to midnight. I was ready to call it a night, but the man kept asking for more drinks, never speaking, only nodding when I asked questions. His eyes were strange, too wide, too dark, and every time I looked away, I felt like I was being watched. At 11:59, the power cut out. The bar was plunged into darkness, except for the faint red glow of the emergency exit sign. People outside screamed, some laughing nervously, but inside I felt only silence. When the lights flickered back on a few seconds later, the man was gone. His glass still sat half full on the counter, but his seat was empty. I shrugged it off until I checked the security footage the next day. What I saw made my blood run cold. On the tape, the man sat quietly until exactly midnight. Then his body dissolved into a thick black smoke that seeped into the walls and disappeared. The next few nights, the bar filled with whispers about a ghost haunting the Hollow Lantern. Regulars told stories of shadowy figures in cold spots near the counter. Some said they saw the man's wide, dark eyes reflected in their drinks. I quit that job soon after. But sometimes when I'm somewhere quiet, I swear, I feel the presence of that man watching me, waiting for his last drink before midnight.